What's going on, guys? On today's episode of Ralph's Real Review, I'm going to be fighting recency and personal bias on camera and failing miserably. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to the channel and hit that bell icon so you can be notified every time we post. But for right now, let's get into the review. Aladdin starts with its only real negative, which is the controversial Arabian Nights song, which sets the stage for the world. We are instantly introduced to our antagonist Jafar, who feeds a man to a sand tiger in search of a magic lamp. Cut to our protagonist Aladdin, who sings a song about why it's okay to steal sometimes, and then shows us he has a heart by giving the stolen bread that he just got to starving children. Everything changes when Princess Jasmine, daughter of the Sultan, refuses to marry a man she doesn't love because the law says she has to marry a prince, so she runs away. She gets in trouble, Aladdin saves her, Aladdin gets arrested and sent into the sand lion or tiger, whatever he is, by Jafar to get the lamp before he is ultimately betrayed. The movie continues with Aladdin trying to win the heart of Jasmine while Jafar works on his own schemes to seize power. I said in my Beauty and the Beast review last week, and I'll link that here, that I don't know if Disney will ever get the CGI/traditional animation blend right. I would say that they did in this movie. I'm going to run into this problem a lot when comparing movies to Beauty and the Beast, so I might as well get into that now. The ballroom scene was a beautiful scene and a moment that is not to be erased. But the introduction to the Cave of Wonders is awe-inspiring in its own way. The ballroom scene is more of like a wow, and the Cave of Wonders is more of like a whoa. Overall, though, there weren't too many instances in this movie where CGI looked out of place, and it was often used to make things look even cooler, which is the point of animation, right? So Aladdin is at 1 in animation. For storytelling, I have Aladdin at 1 yet again, and it's going to start getting dicey here, y'all. So how can you compare the storytelling of Aladdin to that of The Little Mermaid? I had to sit and think about that conversation for a while, and it comes to me down to the writing, specifically when it came to dealing with the relationships between characters. The Little Mermaid had its relationship established kind of as like, this is what it's supposed to be, right? King Triton has a daughter. We have an evil witch who wants to take advantage of this daughter for power. Ariel falls for a prince literally because he's the first pretty guy that she ever sees, and her friends are just her friends. All of these relationships just exist. Aladdin has that in some areas, right? Like Abu is just Aladdin's monkey, Jafar is just obsessed with power. But these characters and their real motivations are spelled out through their actions and through dialogue. The love story of Aladdin and Jasmine could have been very shallow. Of course, he's a commoner and he would want to marry a princess because she's rich. However, Aladdin doesn't view Jasmine's status as a princess as a perk to her, but instead as an obstacle to what matters to him, which is them being together. He falls for her without knowing she's a princess. When he finds out she is a princess, he kind of gets upset about it because he's like, well, there go our chances of being together. Likewise, Jasmine falls for Aladdin and Prince Ali for the same reason, which is their ability to see her. Whether as Aladdin or Prince Ali, he sees Jasmine, not Princess Jasmine. He gets in trouble with her when he's playing the role of the stuck-up prince, right? The way this movie is written, we get to understand these characters based off their actions and what they say to each other. Aladdin doesn't have to say, I see you, he just does, and then he gets a response out of Jasmine. Genie alone should be enough to take the #1 spot for characters. I wanted to do this whole section on him, but I do have some insights elsewhere that I wanted to discuss. So suffice it to say, we have not seen a side character like Genie ever. I'm interested to see if other movies moving forward, if they come close, maybe with like a Timon and a Pumbaa. But think of all your show stealers in animated movies before and after. Those before pale in comparison, and those after bow at the feet of what Robin Williams did here. As much as I love old side characters like Baloo and Tigger, literally name any of them, they don't compare to Genie. And if you name the ones after, Mushu, Olaf, Maui, Phil, Turk, all of them, as great as they are and lovable as they are, none of them are the Genie, as he said himself.
But never duplicated. Genie of the Lamp.
On top of that, the previous #1 movie here was Beauty and the Beast. In this category, and those characters are going to come down to preference. Who had the better princess? It's kind of hard to say. Belle was more of a thinker and a kinder soul. Jasmine is more of a fighter, although she does showcase some perceptiveness as well. If you're looking for a better protagonist, I would lean toward Aladdin. Belle is almost presented as like a perfect person, whereas Aladdin feels more personable and is still incredibly kind while having to deal with the world that is incredibly cruel. Better villain, again, hard to say. For most of Aladdin, I felt Gaston was a more despicable person and villain because he is just a despicable person. He's a vile man whose evil is strictly based in his personality and ego. However, in Act 3 of this movie, Jafar really steals the show, and even if you take away his powers, his actions prove that he is just as vile and twisted as Gaston. He's just not as open because he's more self-aware and plotting. So Aladdin, to me, gets the character nod. For the Disney factor, I have Aladdin at third, honestly because I thought I couldn't keep putting it at first. I was looking for a reason to move it down. I do think, like I said in my last review, Cinderella and The Little Mermaid set a formula for their eras to follow. I think Aladdin is an improvement on the formula, even more so than Beauty and the Beast was, but it was not a formula setter. With that said though, I do think it added a very important ingredient to the recipe, which I will cover in the historical significance section. The music section is typically going to remain controversial, but I don't feel that way this week. So I have Aladdin at 1, and if you disagree, I apologize. This is the very first no-skip soundtrack. It has a S-tier song and A Whole New World, and those are very rare. I would say at this point we have maybe 3 true S tiers. You could argue like The Bare Necessities or Under the Sea, but that shows how exclusive this S tier is by my own definition. To me, it's When You Wish Upon a Star, Beauty and the Beast, and now A Whole New World, surefire. The songs in this movie do introduce us to characters and or explain their motivations. I know what we passed in the next review, so for right now, let me just give the flowers to the Aladdin soundtrack. There is some racial controversy, which we haven't seen in a while. The initial release of Arabian Nights, I believe, had a line that said something like, "They'll cut off your ear if they don't like your face. It's barbaric, but hey, it's home." They did change that to "It's mad hot here, and it's barbaric, but hey, it's home." Obviously, I can see where the controversy comes from. I can't say controversy today. As a kid, I clearly didn't catch that. They did change the lyrics in the new releases, even though you could argue it's still offensive. I just don't think that it's enough to dent the rest of the strength that is this soundtrack. For box office, Aladdin comes in at 12th with a little over $491.3 million adjusted for inflation. I will say I am a little shocked that this movie wasn't higher given the critical success and audience reviews, along with the momentum you would have thought that it was getting off of Beauty and the Beast the year before, but just 12th. For historical significance, I'm going to put Aladdin at 3. I had it at 1 again, and I moved it to 3. So Snow White, we know, created the genre. Beauty and the Beast proved that animated movies are just movies, right? And then Aladdin had a performance that was so captivating with the genie that people have been trying to do it ever since. Think of all your favorite animated characters since really Aladdin came out, right? Shrek, Donkey, Mushu, Poe, Mike, Sully, Woody, Buzz. All celebrity voice actors. It has almost become so commonplace that we take it for granted, but before this, who did you really have, right? You had like Billy Joel and Oliver and company. Robin Williams made it so that celebrity appearances were almost a must for animated movies, but also let celebrities see what this could do for their careers as well, having these roles on their credits. So it was bigger than Disney, and it did change the game, so I am going to rank it high in historical significance. That brings us to the tiers, which, similar to last week, it's not a matter of what tier Aladdin goes in, but more so how far left it goes. And I'm going to have to say outright, I know Beauty and the Beast is the classier pick. I know it's the more technically sound movie. It's the more sophisticated pick. But truth be told, this is my list, and I'm not here to really share popular opinion, but more so to explain my own thoughts and feelings. And I would watch Aladdin 50 times straight before I watch Beauty and the Beast again, and it's not because of any flaws that Beauty and the Beast has. I think this movie is just that good. I think it has everything Beauty and the Beast has and more. I think the animation is awesome. I like how it sets up characters through their interactions and their motivations. I like the soundtrack better. I think it's more fun. I laugh at this movie. I'm almost moved to tears with this movie. It's just so special for me. I have to give it my top spot. And oddly enough, I didn't even really grow up with Aladdin. It's not like I remember rewatching this on loop as a kid. I really discovered this movie as I became a teenager. So I love Aladdin. is going in the top spot. That's going to do it for today's episode, guys. If you haven't yet, please subscribe and help join our community. I'm trying to get to 500 subs on YouTube by the end of 2025. So if you are enjoying this content, definitely subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends, and hit the bell so you can be notified whenever I post a new review, not just in this series, but for movie reviews in general. If you're interested in regular movies, we do have those as well. I'm also trying to reach 1,000 followers on TikTok by the end of 2025, so you can follow me there at Ralph's Rapid Review, where I post essentially the 1-minute bite-sized version of these reviews. So go into the comments, guys. Tell me your thoughts on Aladdin. Was it recency bias? Is it personal bias? Or are my points spot on and valid in your opinion? What do you guys think? Let me know. Thanks for watching, guys. But before we go, one more time for the legendary Robin Williams.
Well, I can't do any more damage around this popsicle stand. I'm out of here! Bye, you two crazy lovebirds! Hey, Rugman, ciao! I'm history! No, I'm mythology! Nah, I don't care what I am!